GRC platforms may look similar on the surface, but once you go a layer deeper, the differences really start to matter, especially when you're scaling a program across a complex enterprise environment. I'm En from the team at Vanta. Today, I'll walk you through key differences between Vanta and Drata and why Vanta is the clear choice for enterprise GRC teams. Let's start with integrations. Vanta has over 400 integrations across cloud providers, task management tools, vulnerability scanners, and more. Compare that to Drata, which only has about 300 total integrations. The reality is, most engineering teams run on tools that go beyond AWS, GCP, or Azure alone, so that breadth of integration matters. If those systems aren't integrated by your compliance program, you're either tracking evidence manually or not at all. At enterprise scale, it's not just about the number of integrations, it's also about the depth of evidence you can collect from each one. With over 1,400 tests and counting, Vanta covers more resources than Drata, so this means more data, more automation, and more validation. Vanta also checks automated tests on an hourly basis, whereas Drata runs them every 24 hours. And that's a difference that matters to enterprises. A misconfiguration in the morning can turn into real risk if not caught by the end of the day. Now let's compare the agentic capabilities of these two platforms. Here we're seeing the Vanta agent, which acts as your 24/7 GRC engineer. It has total program awareness and context, understanding your tests and controls, internal and vendor risks, customer questionnaires, and more. This enables it to operate as your 24/7 GRC engineer and do things like check evidence before an audit, draft policies, automate questionnaires, accelerate vendor reviews, and much, much more. Let's take the example of test remediation. I can ask the Vanta agent for a list of failing tests, as well as drill into a particular area. Let's say I want to look at my audit logs for EKS clusters and if I have any failed tests there. So here it looks like it detected something. When a test fails in Vanta, the agent generates remediation code in your choice of Terraform, AWS CLI, or CloudFormations. So here we're actually seeing the CLI code snippets that I can pass to my engineering team to get to a fix fast and reduce my risk exposure. Compared to Drata, when a test fails, their AI will generate a summary of failed tests, but not provide the preformed code needed for engineers to remediate. Next, let's look at configurability. Enterprises need to comply with multiple standards and likely are running multiple audits in parallel. Too often, GRC teams are faced with this dilemma. Overshare with your auditor and risk unnecessary back and forths and confusion, but failing to centralize your whole program means loss of visibility and reporting. Only Vanta has adaptive scoping, allowing you to share only the evidence that applies to each framework audit and business unit. For instance, I can look at my SOC 2 audit and scope specific systems in and out. I can see that my AWS is currently in scope, but say my developers have a test instance that I want out of scope for my audit. I can go into my AWS instance, find that test domain, and exclude it for audit. This is what makes it adaptive. All future instances of this test instance will now be out of scope for anything related to my SOC 2 audit. If I go back to scope, I can also decide which business units this applies to. Let's say these resources are only relevant for my payments product and not my banking, government, or insurance products. I can set that scope here, helping me manage a multi-product program. With Vanta, there's no need to manage exclusions within your cloud providers or configure tests one by one. Compare that to Drata, which relies on test-by-test scoping and manual exclusions. At enterprise scale, that adds operational overhead and makes it harder to maintain accurate scoping within your environment. And finally, an enterprise GRC program will undoubtedly involve a team of teams, so precise control and access is key. Vanta offers an organization center at the highest level that governs distinct workspaces, their business units, and the unique frameworks that apply to each. This could be a series of subsidiaries, business units, or new company acquisitions, each with their own requirements and needs. The separation provides clear audit boundaries while maintaining consolidated reporting at the highest level. Drata uses cross-workspace evidence sharing. That means evidence from one entity can appear in another's audit scope. That presents a real challenge for large enterprises that need that separation of data. When you look at how these platforms operate at enterprise scale, the difference becomes clear. Vanta has over 400 integrations versus Drata's 300. Vanta has more than 1,400 automated tests, run hourly versus daily with Drata. An agent that has full program context and awareness, including the ability to offer remediation code snippets, not just summaries. Adaptive scoping across frameworks and business units instead of manual exclusions. And true enterprise control with distinct workspaces. That's why enterprises like Duolingo, Snowflake, Shipbob, Ramp, and Samsara trust Vanta to run their GRC programs. See the difference for yourself by requesting a demo at vanta.com.